I'm Brooke, and if you've ever worked a shift on an acute care floor, you know this exact moment. The doors swing open, a patient arrives in severe agitated distress, and the unit immediately kicks into high gear. Almost instantly, you might hear a coworker whisper that the patient is drug-seeking. It's a heavy label. In the middle of the chaos, you feel that immediate tension between passing a quick judgment and focusing on your medical duty to the person in front of you. Clinical evidence requires us to reframe our approach. To provide safe care, we have to look past the moral failing or character flaw narrative and treat this as a chronic physiological illness. When a care team views distress purely as a behavioral problem, they risk overlooking an evolving medical emergency. In a high acuity environment, misidentifying a physiological crisis as a personality issue creates a dangerous gap in patient safety. This flowchart visualizes the continuous loop driving substance use disorders. It breaks down into 3 specific stages: binge and intoxication, withdrawal and negative affect, and finally, preoccupation and anticipation. The cycle starts when the initial use of an addictive substance floods the brain's reward center. It releases massive, unnatural spikes of dopamine, creating a powerful sense of euphoria. To protect itself from this intense chemical flooding, the brain triggers a defense mechanism called downregulation. It physically lowers its own sensitivity to dopamine. These cross-sectional brain scans show the physical reality of that chemistry. These are altered neural structures. Over time, the patient stops chasing a high and begins using the substance just to maintain a normal physiological baseline. Because the brain's circuitry has adapted to rely on this external chemical, the sudden removal of the substance creates an immediate, catastrophic systemic crash. The withdrawal stage officially begins on your unit the exact second the patient's external substance supply is cut off. At the bedside, your absolute primary priority is monitoring vital signs. You are watching closely to detect any extreme dangerous responses from the autonomic nervous system. These specific life-threatening symptoms depend entirely on what the patient was using. Alcohol withdrawal heavily depresses the central nervous system during use, so the sudden rebound causes severe excitability, leading to hallucinations and seizures. Opioid withdrawal presents with its own set of risks. You will see severe sweating, widely dilated pupils, intestinal cramping, and extreme physical anxiety. To accurately track these symptoms, you have to use validated clinical tools. The CIWA scale for alcohol and the COWS scale for opioids allow you to objectively measure factors like hydration, tremors, and orientation. Vigilant objective monitoring with these scales is the only reliable way a nurse can anticipate and stay ahead of fatal autonomic failure. Once you've assessed the withdrawal severity, we move to pharmacological interventions. This introduces 2 critical concepts: MOUD and MOUD, medications for opioid and alcohol use disorders. For an opioid withdrawal emergency, you should anticipate orders for FDA-approved medications like buprenorphine, methadone, or naltrexone to manage cravings and stabilize the patient. If the patient is withdrawing from alcohol, anticipated medication orders shift to acamprosate, naltrexone, and disulfiram. Disulfiram carries a strict clinical warning. If the patient is exposed to any concurrent alcohol while taking it, they will experience a severe, highly unpleasant physical reaction. These pharmacological interventions provide the essential stability needed to regulate a brain that has physically adapted to the presence of a substance. Often, patients with substance use disorders require treatment for co-occurring mental health conditions. Mood stabilizers and anticonvulsants are frequently ordered, the most famous being lithium. Lithium requires intense observation. The therapeutic range is incredibly narrow, between 0.6 and 1.2. Anything over 1.5 is the hard threshold for dangerous toxicity. You have to differentiate between expected side effects and emergency signs. Fine hand tremors are an expected side effect of lithium. Coarse hand tremors, confusion, and tinnitus indicate acute toxicity. This animated scale demonstrates the critical inverse relationship between lithium and sodium in the body. When a patient's sodium levels drop, whether through sweating or dehydration, their lithium levels automatically rise right into that toxic red zone. Because of this delicate balance, administering lithium safely requires thorough nursing education. You must teach your patients to maintain consistent, adequate fluid and salt intake to avoid a toxic event. Many individuals navigating acute withdrawal carry a heavy burden of shame. The language we use at the bedside changes the clinical environment. We replace terms like addict or alcoholic with person-first language, specifically, a person with a substance use disorder. We also have to rethink the drug-seeking label. Many patients display what is known as pseudoaddiction, where they appear agitated or demanding because they are genuinely terrified of inadequate pain management. Let's lock in the core NCLEX points. Your absolute priority is tracking autonomic vitals. Memorize the inverse relationship between lithium and sodium and anticipate specific NAUD and MOUD orders to treat the physical withdrawal. Nursing mastery requires a dual focus: the clinical vigilance to manage a complex brain disease, and the non-judgmental empathy to preserve your patient's humanity on their path to recovery. Hey, thanks for watching my YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment. Let me know what topics you want to see more of and how I can help you become the super nurse you were born to be. I hope to see you here again real soon.